Studies show a mysterious health benefit to ice cream. Scientists don't want to talk about it. And I really recommend this because it's hilarious.
Ooh, only Brett and Eric Weinstein talk about it.
And us. We're brave enough to talk about
this is going to get us canceled, but we are going to talk about it. In the culture war, there are no winners, just podcasters. Only a few are willing to risk their lives in the face of some of the dumbest ideas to have ever captured human civilization. Each week, we, Megan Daum and Sarah Hayter, humbly accept this mission to bring you conversations that are equal parts stunning, brave, and, I didn't think of a third thing this week.
Okay.
Maybe our
and
commenters. Absent-minded, lazy, brain fogged. Maybe our commenters should start writing in with some adjective suggestions.
Yeah, especially the free people. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's the least they can do.
Least you could do.
Pay with your your intellectual labor.
I actually appreciate when they send like something to comment on, like some interesting issue. I appreciate that. It feels like I'm a journalist, and this is like my tip.
Oh, like they've got a lead for you.
Yeah. Like here's a juicy little story or an issue that's like worthy of us looking into. That's
for
always
example,
fun.
Anything lately?
Well, people want us to talk about the
Claudine
population. Population bomb thing. That's something that
I
people
don't
mentioned.
ever want to hear the words Claudine Gay in any.
There were a million think pieces about it. I'm million takes.
I don't want.
I'm actually going to write more about it because I have so.
You are?
I have so much to say about it. Like I can't. But it's that feeling of like, one, I have a lot to say. Two, I'm sick of it also. So I'm also sick of myself talking about it. I'm sick of thinking about it, but I can't stop. I felt that same way about trans issues for a very long time, where I'm sick of it. I don't want to read another thing. I don't want to talk about it anymore, but I'm also obsessed. And there's no moving on.
Wow, you've just accepted this about yourself. Claudine Gay is a narrower subject than trans.
It's not Claudine Gay. It's all that she represents. It's like that word, Latinx.
Latinx.
In fact, now we don't say it anymore. No, it's Latinx.
That's how you pronounce it.
I think it's Latinx, isn't it?
That sounds.
It's not X, Latin X. It's not Elon Musk.
Latinx.
Yeah,
that rhymes with something else that you're not allowed to say. But
oh, really? Is it not Latinx? Have I just been? Did someone just tell me that, and I've been, and I just like believe them?
That's an
Latinx.
alternate pronunciation. Maybe it's a regional thing.
Okay,
Latinx.
Somebody will tell us. But okay, so but it's that word being used. I was kind of obsessed with it not because it was just like, of course it's silly, right? Like, of course it's a silly little superficial thing, but it's something that, in order for that to have existed, in order for us to get to this absurd word that no one knows how to say, but everyone at a certain class is using uniformly and pressuring everyone else to use, it just says so much about what's going on. Like it's like lightning in, the middle of a dark night. It just exposes so much of what's wrong because it had to have been to get to this point, And I think Claudine Gay is the same sort of phenomenon. And I think that's why people are obsessed with her so much. Right. It's not really her. It's how did this happen?
It's kind of a Rorschach test in a way. You can kind of project any number of things onto that. Well, she sees herself as the absolute embodiment of racism, contemporary racism. So I can't wait for her to get a book contract and write a book about this.
Oh my God.
We can set our watches.
So much money. And now she's actually doing less work than she was doing before. That's what's incredible about this.
She's doing a lot of emotional work. Come on. That her mental load is
probably has actually. It probably has.
Again, also, I want to say,
here's
the other thing is I don't want to talk about her anymore, but I want to be clear. I feel bad for her, but that's not the same as saying that I think she should not have been fired. I'm a little bit confused. I feel like sometimes our commenters either mishear us or I don't remember a single thing we said the second we stopped recording. I will admit that.
Yeah.
Nothing. But I am certain that I did not say that Claudine Gay should have remained in her job.
So what happens with me is I don't remember what I said, but I remember how I felt, and I still feel the same way. So and then I think, okay, maybe it's possible I misspoke, but I would have to misspeak dramatically in order
Yes.
for this to be the impression that people end up with. But yeah, I feel bad for her, but it's not that she deserves to be in that position.
Yeah.
It's not that she isn't kind of a grifter. She obviously is.
I don't know if
I just don't
she's,
see how
yeah.
she's well, she's a little
I
bit
guess
they're
she's
all
a little
grifters.
bit
They
of a
have to be a
grifter.
grifter.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of DEI is grift, like to some degree. There's a few people who genuinely believe in it, and everybody else is kind of a grifter, especially people at the very top. The people who do really well with DEI, they tend to be the people who know how to do really well with
Yeah.
DEI,
You know, there was a piece in, I think it was in the American Enterprise Institute publication. Take that for what it is. I think that's a pretty decent publication, actually, written by somebody who Claudine Gay was in graduate school with, and talking about how she was just like a normal person back then. She was with her boyfriend, now husband, and this person had been in the program with both of them, and she had just not been ideological really at all. And this kind of developed later. So that's to your point. I think that she kind of caught on that this works.
That this is what she's supposed to do. And then that's what most people do most of the time. You know, we get a lot of signals from our surroundings. We don't even know that we're getting them. We don't even know how we're absorbing them. It's a very, back of the brain kind of process. And we shift as people. That's another reason to be very careful about who you're spending time with. Just because even if you think of yourself as deeply independent kind of a person, you will become more like them over time.
That's why.
Having said that, I spent a lot of time with you. I don't know how I feel about it now.
Well,
Am I going to get a dog? Am I going to leave my husband? Am I going to get
a child?
Maybe.
You know what? We should swap. Do you know what would be such a great thing for our
wife swap
subscribers? It would be like Freaky Friday. No, but we should swap. Like you should have the Hugo.
And live your life, like what the wife swap.
I
can live your life for a week,
right? Exactly,
and you live my life.
Yeah, I could be with your husband.
Yeah,
you could be with Hugo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would. I think that would be like a vacation for me. That would be.
You say that you'd have to do a whole other podcast. You'd have 10 other jobs.
Yeah,
you'd have to.
I mean, I have some jobs. I
know you do. I know.
Jobs.
Yeah,
yeah. I guess it would be, maybe it would just be like slightly more work. It would be more work.
I don't know. You know what? That would be actually very
less emotional labor, I bet.
Less emotional labor? Well, I don't do emotional labor.
Like nobody's crying on your shoulder. People are crying on my shoulder all the time. Not adults, but
it's
smaller
shocking.
People. But it's constant. They have so many emotions. And you have to validate.
And you have no emotions, so it's good. It balances out.
Yeah. Man, some of these commenters, man, they're getting to me, I have to say.
Really?
Yeah, but we did a poll, didn't we? And that was
yes, for our paying subscribers, we did a poll.
We did a separate one for everybody.
True. Well, not for everybody, yes.
And I think that some of the numbers, like Substack, is weird about the way that it collates its poll numbers. So I think that the votes might be like all piled up together. I'm not sure, but in any case, the people who are listening to this podcast took a poll, and we asked them a lot of questions. Do we want to talk about it?
Yeah. We can talk about a few of them.
Okay. Mostly we wanted to know, like, when are people available for live streams? Because we were thinking of doing that on like YouTube, and it's not so much that that will be a recording, and we would cut out pieces and release it later. But live streams are fun. Like hearing people, like, because you can comment and you can see the comments pop up as you're recording. So we thought it would be kind of a fun idea, and we could maybe react to what the listeners were saying as we're recording.
React to them. So it's just like a feedback loop.
Yeah. And then we're just like having an argument.
A couple people were like, I don't know why you think you have to do that.
We don't have to do anything.
But
we don't have to do the podcast.
No, we don't. But it's like, I think people need to understand that there are certain ways to grow your podcast, and
you have to
being
grow.
on
We want
YouTube,
to grow
for
the
instance.
podcast. We want to
Yeah.
grow the podcast. We want to do it in a way that we're not going to absolutely hate.
No.
So
medium hate. So
medium hate. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are so what else did they say?
So wait, Hook. Okay, so we asked them what their sex is, and there's a bunch of ladies up in here. 57% female, or at least the people who took the poll, which
Women
could have been,
are-
maybe it was the women who were like, okay, I'll take the poll.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Like, I don't know if there's a female bias here, but 57% women, that's like a lot of women.
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised, but
Mhm.
I mean, well, so this must be coming from you, because my audience is like
You don't have a
90%
in your audience.
90% guys. I mean, when I take polls on Twitter, that audience is like all male, and they always comment on it. Like anytime I do a sex related poll, and is that if you're male, what do you and if you're female, and if it's always clear that I have way more men, and the comments I was like, oh my god, sausage party, Sarah, why do you think this is such a sausage party in here? I was like, I don't know, you tell me. You're the sausage that's here. What is attracting you? Like,
yeah, do you think it's the atheist sort of atheism space?
It's a lot of things. It's the atheism space. It's even the ex-Muslim space is a little bit more masculine, unless they're like very hijab oriented, like very women's rights oriented, which I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
I mean, I do some of it, but it's like, that's not my main thing. It's just like, I don't believe, and here's why, kind of thing.
Right.
But it's also my approach. That's when I ask them, what is it? Why is it that I have all these like STEM dorks? They think that it's my way of speaking.
Your way of speaking?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're
like they say it's like dispassionate is the word.
Well, you are very direct.
Some kind of people appreciate that. But anyway, lots of women, probably from you. But I'm happy they're here. Hi, ladies. Welcome.
It's okay you're here.
It's okay that you're here. It's great. It's great. It's great. I'm happy with this. I'm happy with the numbers. How old are you? This was a really interesting distribution. It was like it's like a normal curve almost. But it leans towards the older people, towards geezers.
My cohort
are more overrepresented. Yeah, but that's probably because I mean I'm older, and then like we need if you had like a Zoomer podcast host, then you would see.
Are you saying we should bring in a third person? Are you wanting to be a thruple? A podcast thruple? Do you want to open up the podcast? Come on, already?
We already kind of have with Penelope, so just keep going.
Yeah.
But there are the majority, 48%, is in the 36 to 50-year-old category, which is kind of huge. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hardly anybody here that's under 20.
Okay, well, we got to work on
surprising.
that. Yeah, and in terms of content, we asked if they wanted more culture war, less culture war. I was hoping they would say less, but apparently not.
No, what's wrong with you guys? I thought that was a joke when I said more culture war. I thought that was a joke. Like,
meaning we know you want us to.
We know you wouldn't. Of course, you wouldn't want more of that. And then people are like, actually, that is what I want. Anyway, yeah, we'll go into this in more detail, maybe like with the subscriber, in the bonus episode.
Yeah. But anyway, so keep those answers coming, people. Please do the poll.
I think it's closed.
Oh, it's closed?
Say it. Never mind.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't do the poll.
You don't need to do the poll.
I don't understand how these things work. Just call me Dominion voting machines. It's my nickname. All right.
Okay.
So we have a couple things to talk about. One of them is this new book from the philosopher Kate Manne, which is about body positivity and fatness. It's called Unshrinking. So Kate Manne is a moral philosopher. She teaches at Cornell. she's probably best known for, well, she's actually best known for this concept called himpathy. She coined this, is it a portmanteau? Himpathy, that would be. So she
Wait,
defined
what does himpathy mean?
himpathy. Okay, so I'm going to tell you. So it's like a, it's like a version of mansplaining or something. So she defines himpathy as the disproportionate or inappropriate sympathy extended to a male perpetrator over his similarly or less privileged female targets or victims in cases of sexual assault, harassment, and other misogynistic behavior. So, like,
That's
for
not
instance,
true at all.
well, I know. Okay, let's like stay in her lane for a second.
Okay,
so,
okay.
So, for instance, I guess like Brett Kavanaugh, if we are kind of erring on the side of giving him the benefit of the doubt, giving a man the benefit of the doubt against a female accuser would be an example of himpathy, according to Kate Manne. So I think that's she's leaving out a lot of stuff.
She's totally
there.
No, but it's like it's wrong.
It's kind of the opposite. Well, so she would say that
if Brett Kavanaugh was a woman, if Brett Kavanaugh was a woman and the same exact thing happened, and that was like, instead it was a man who was, crying, and what would we feel more sympathy for that person? I don't think so.
Well, and she had, this is actually not what we're talking about in this new book, but from what I recall, she had things to say about the way, he became so emotional. And
she was crying.
Yeah, well, but yes, but Christine Blasey Ford was upset, but that's because she's a victim. I think the idea
that was but she was. We don't know if she was a victim, right? That was what was under. That was the question. The question was, is she the victim or not?
Yeah. No, I know. She's all, Kate Manne has also talked a lot about the Brock Turner case and the way that the judge in that case, this is the Stanford swimmer, and the judge in that case only gave him like a 6-month sentence. Those were the sentencing guidelines. I have a lot to say about the Brock Turner case, as some people may know. We don't need to get into that. But in any case, Kate Manne is, she's kind of like really managed to thread the needle in terms of being an academic with a real academic job that is very much in the popular sphere. She's kind of like a Jezebel philosopher. Like, she's very much of like the Jezebel feministing,
I used to go to Jezebel a lot when I was like really young.
Well, like Jezebel was 14, great when it started. When it started, it was fantastic. It was hilarious.
It was funny. Like the comments, I remember, were really funny and mean as hell, but funny. Mm-hmm. Mean in a way you can't be mean anymore. It's like illegal to be.
Anna
like
Holmes started Jezebel, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So
for like
anyway,
a couple years.
So Kate Manne, her best known book is probably Down Girl. It came out in 2017, and it really just kind of it's about misogyny, and it sort of analyzes misogyny from ostensibly another point of view. Anyway, her new book is called Unshrinking, and it's about fatness and fat phobia. So it's really like her main thesis is that fat people need to be, they should not need to change their bodies, that perhaps the world should change around them. And that there are all kinds of ways that fat people are excluded and suffer, whether it's something like small airplane seats, which admittedly are small, any number of things. So and there was an excerpt in The Cut, New York Magazine's The Cut, which was much actually more. I was kind of curious how they edited that together, because it was much more personal side of her story. She was talking about being bullied for being like a chubby kid herself by boys, which was interesting.
And she went to a boys' school, or what used to be a boys' school, and what had opened up to girls, and she was like one of like a couple
in Australia. She's Australian. So anyway, I don't know, there's a lot of discussion around this book this week, the last couple of weeks. It came out a couple of weeks ago. So I wonder if you had any thoughts. I know you read the cut piece.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting piece in that it was a lot of her personal story, and then it's sort of, in the like they do this as like personal story, and then here's like the context, and then back to the personal story. I found, yeah, I'm reading through it, I'm absorbed in the story. Kate Manne she's a good writer.
Yes, she is.
It's hard not to feel a lot of sympathy for her as you're going through her experience, and how often she, gets pulled back into this idea of herself as this specific kind of body that people have feelings about, and her discomfort, and humiliation at times, based on the kinds of comments that she's receiving. And it's I had a lot of feelings, I feel a lot of sympathy for her. And then there's also a kind of a frustration that I get, not with this piece in particular, but all of these pieces. There's kind of like a genre of like, this bad thing happened to me, and here's my, like, I could have written a piece just like this, and you disagreed with me when we were talking about this, but I was like, I could have written a piece exactly like this about colorism if I wanted, being an immigrant and how embarrassing that was, being a Muslim, and then after that being an ex-Muslim.
Wait, I didn't disagree. Wait, what did I disagree with you? I disagreed when you said no. What did I? Again, I don't remember anything I say.
People, now I have to go through our messages. Oh my gosh!
Don't it's this. Okay. Anyway, no, you could look, Sarah. If you wanted to help this podcast, you would write a piece about how.
Okay, I said if I added up all the mean comments I've had over the years, I'm sure I could write several books. That's what I said, and you said, said, "Ha, listeners wouldn't believe that."
No, you said that. No. That you said. I said that. No, I thought you meant you were talking about being fat. That's what I said. Or being ugly. You said you could write something about being ugly, and I said,
yeah, but I think people, but that happened to me too. Like, that happened to me too, just not in the same way. They weren't focusing on the same exact physical flaws, but everybody has physical flaws, and people say horrible things about them.